Right, this morning we come to Revelation chapter 7. Okay, I thought that was a particularly good place to start within the book of the Revelation of Jesus Christ, as it concerns the passing away of the old dispensation, the covenant with the people of the children of Israel, who were set and brought into being as the ensamples of the one true people, church, kingdom, city of God which is above. Even as the Garden of Eden reflected what we read in Ezekiel, where we have it penned as the Eden of God, referring to the garden of God which is above. Paradise. Paradise. Now, when we come to Revelation, we have to understand three things for interpretation. Preterism is out. Completely out when it stands on its own. And indeed out as an interpretation of man, as they interpret the book of the Revelation after their own worldly understanding. The same with the old end time prophets who say you don't move on from chapter 5 because after chapter 5 it all belongs to the Jews. Millennialism, you see. And premillennialism, pro-millennialism, and this millennialism, whatever you like to create. Alright? You false denominations and false teachers and false prophets. Alright? The truth of the matter is that in order to understand and interpret the book of the Revelation of Jesus Christ, first of all, one has to look upon it as it is written in heavenly metaphors. To understand the heavenly metaphor of what is being said by heaven, not what is being said by the carnal mind. We need a different mindset. The mind of Christ. That's what we need. We are instructed not to have a carnal mindset. Do we obey? Take notice of that? Do we? Do we seek to encourage and to grow in order to have the mindset? Be ye not conformed, says Paul, to this world. Don't be conformed to it. When the world says this, that and the other, are we going to bow down to it and follow it? Or are we going to sit back from it and judge what it says and to examine it with righteous judgment if it is telling the truth or not? And if it is not telling the truth, then we reject it and rebuke it. We should not have the mind of the world. The world has this mindset that whatever governments say, whatever their fellow man says, it is believed. No, we shouldn't be like that. We shouldn't be worldly minded. We are, after all, the children of God. God has created us to be his children. We have a privilege. Let us not dishonour God and dishonour the privilege, and what a high privilege to be justified before God, to be able to stand before God, and not under Mount Sinai, but under Mount Zion, indeed upon Mount Zion with Jesus Christ in heavenly places, that we are seated. Let us honour God and our position. We have a position, a holy, justified position that is above this world. We inherit everything of this world, if we but knew it. But we need to be meek and mild to know it. Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable, perfect will of God. Let this mind be in you that is in Christ Jesus. When we come to the book of Revelation, we should have the mind, that bent, if you like, that mindset. So when we see and read the book of the Revelation, as with the rest of the scriptures, we can see through the eyes of Christ, rather than the eyes of our own carnal understanding. It is metaphor, heavenly metaphor, throughout the book of the Revelation. The second point, it's doctrine. To understand the book of the Revelation of Jesus Christ, we have to have the doctrine of Christ. Thirdly, we also must understand the historical context that comes from the metaphorical and the doctrinal. Yes, we must have the historical context. And indeed, the vast majority of what is written in the book of the Revelation of Jesus Christ will come forth historically once we understand the metaphor and the doctrine that it is teaching. Alright? Now, these three cannot be separated. These three are one. If you separate any one of them, you'll have a skewed understanding of the book of the Revelation. Now, it takes time. It takes effort. It's putting the shoulder to the plough. It is perseverance. To separate from this world, the influence of this world, the corruption of this world, of what this world tells us, teaches us, influences us in. There is an automatic attraction. When the media, for instance, speaks, there's an automatic attraction for us to listen to the extent of believing what it says. There is this magnetic influence that it has, like a magnetic personality, and it draws us. Same with politics. Well, corrupt politics. The politics of Parliament is not politics, it's corrupted politics. Okay? We're drawn. But as soon as we begin to get the mind of Christ, we are then drawing back, and we're not listening to the media. We're not listening to governments. We're not listening to the person in the street. We're not listening to books and things like that, wherein they entice us to believe in these things. We become what we should become: discerning individuals. So when we pick up a book, we should say, or automatically say, right, that's wrong, or that's right. Hey, this is excellent. Wow, this is perfect. We go to government and we say, what a load of trash that is, from deceivers, perverts of the lot. I mean, when it comes to picking government, come on, and the media, automatically we see that it is all a bunch of perverts with enticing words, created speeches, fake events. We see it all automatically. We're not drawn in. Now, I'm going to put this as part 1, alright? And then part 2 and 3, we shall go over the scriptures. But part 1 is the laying down simply of how to approach the book of the Revelation of Jesus Christ, with the 3 pointers. Okay? Heavenly metaphor, doctrine, sound doctrine, and history. And we will show, by the grace of God, what it is by the speaking of heavenly metaphors. And just as a one here comes to mind, in Revelation chapter 8 we read of ships sinking in the sea. That's a heavenly metaphor for commerce. Ships represent commerce, trade. And they're sinking in the sea of mankind. Right, let's begin part 2.